So, students, after watching a beautiful video regarding the structure and construction of human eye, now let us discuss about the functions of various parts of human eye. So, we are first picking the cornea because this is the outermost part of our human eye. And as you can see from these pictures, that the outer layer is the cornea, outside part. Now the cornea is outermost and is a transparent layer of eye, and this is basically responsible for focusing the light that comes into our eye. So the light which is entering the cornea focus that light to the eye lens. It is convex in shape and it is bulging out, and most of the refraction of light rays entering the eye occur at the outer surface of this cornea. The bulging outside shape of the eye is to provide the large field of view so that we can see most of the things in front of us. The deeper layer of cornea exists mainly to strengthen the eye, and the outer layer of cornea act as a kind of shield to the elements and can usually repair itself within a few days of suffering a minor injury. So the outer layer protect us from outside dust particles and other things, other injuries, and the inner layer strengthen the eye. So this is all about the cornea. The next part of the human eye is the aqueous humor. Now, as the name suggests, it is aqueous means the fluid part. So the liquid inside our eye that is visible is because of this aqueous humor. So if we are considering, look at the picture. This is the outer structure of eye. The outer layer is the cornea and the fluid inside this is the aqueous humor. As you can see, this arrow shows the aqueous humor of the human eye. We shed tears because of this aqueous humor. The dryness of eyes is being removed because of this aqueous humor. So basically, this watery liquid, which is mostly water, is having proteins and vitamins. It is a viscous fluid filled in the area between the cornea and the eye lens. It helps in refraction of light which is coming through the cornea, and it keeps eye lens wet for smooth functioning. It prevents the eye from collapsing due to changes in atmosphere pressure, and it helps to nourish the cornea from minor injuries. Now, apart from this, it provides the inflation for expansion of the cornea and hence increased protection against the dust, wind, polar grains, and some pathogens as well as. It is continuously filtered and replenished inside the eye. This aqueous humor is transparent, watery fluid similar to plasma, but it contains low protein concentration. So, the protein concentration in aqueous humor is very low as compared to the plasma. After this aqueous humor, there is iris in our eye, and this iris is basically responsible for the color of eye. Now look at the two pictures we are having. In these two pictures, the color of the eye is different. One is the bluish gray, another one is the gray. So the people, different people are having different eye color, and that eye color is because of this iris. And you can see in the picture, we are having iris, we are having pupil. So pupil of every eye, every person is black. That is a black hole. But the color of iris is different for different people, and this is the way we can differentiate between the eyes of different people, that the blue eyed people, the gray eyed people, the black eyed, the brown eyed, varied variety of iris or the eye color are there in this world. So this iris is basically a dark muscular diaphragm that controls the size of the pupil. This iris decide the color of the eye. So basically the iris is the colored part of the eye. And this iris actually functions to adjust the size of the pupil. It has muscles that contract or expands depending on the amount of light the pupil need to process an image. Iris is the structure that gives our eye their color, like the gray, the blue, so many colors. Now, what is pupil? Pupil is the center part of our eye, and as you can see from this, we are having an eye. Iris is blue in color, but the pupil is black, and each and every person is having the black pupil. Now you can see the inner structure of the eye. We are having ciliary muscles, we are having the choroid. Iris is that bluish portion, and the pupil is the small black dot in that. So this pupil basically regulates and control the amount of light entering the eye. This pupil automatically get larger in low light and get smaller in bright light, and that is being controlled by the iris. So the pupil is small opening at the center of iris, and its primary function is to monitor the amount of light that comes into the eye. Iris control the size of pupil. Because of this, when there is more intensity of light, the pupil contracts to keep the proper light intensity entering into the eye, and when there is low intensity of light, the pupil expands so it can allow more light intensity into eye. So this process of contraction and expansion is not instantaneous, but it takes a small amount of time. It takes some time. So this pupil automatically gets larger in low light and gets smaller into the bright light. Now the process takes a bit time, as you know that whenever there is sudden exposure of light, whenever you are asked to move out and have a sudden exposure of light, what happens? In that case, your eyes contract. So the iris regulates, contracts the pupil, and the intensity of light is reduced, which is entering into our eye. And similarly, the vice versa happens when we are going inside some dark place. In that case, there is expansion of eye in order to see the things clearly. So again, in that case, the pupil is being expanded by the iris so that maximum light can enter inside the eye and we are able to see the things clearly. Now after pupil, the next part is the ciliary muscles. Now these are very important muscles or the very important part of the human eye. Basically these muscles controls the eyelids, the movement of eyelids. And as you can see from this figure that we are having the outermost layer, that is cornea, iris is there, the pupil is at center, and just to that eye lens is being attached. Now, the suspensory ligament known as the ciliary muscles, they contract or expand. In order to contract or expand the eye lens which is attached to these ciliary muscles. So whenever there is contraction, as you can see from these arrow, the contraction is there and the eye lens bulged. It is being bulged out. But in second case, when the ciliary muscles are pulling this eye lens, in that case the eye lens is being or getting thinner. So in both the cases, the focal length for given eye lens is being changed by expanding the eye lens or contracting the lens by the ciliary muscles. So these ciliary muscles are attached to eye lens and can modify the curvature of eye lens to some extent. The change in curvature of eye lens can thus change its focal length, as we had already discussed. And the focal length of eye lens cannot be decreased or increased below or above some certain limits. That is the minimum limit for that focal length. So when the muscles are relaxed, the lens becomes thin. Hence, its focal length increases and it enables us to see distant objects clearly. But when we are looking at object closer, the ciliary muscles contract and it increases the curvature of eye lens, makes the eye lens thicker. Consequently, its focal length decreases and this enables us to see nearby objects clearly. Now, after discussing the ciliary muscles, as they are attached to the lens, that is our eye lens, now let us discuss about this eye lens. So a crystalline lens is there, that is crystal, so that the light can easily enter through this lens and form the image at retina. So you can see from this figure that the crystalline lens is of this shape and the shape is more similar to that a bifocal or biconvex lens. Now let us have a structure to understand again the various parts. So we had discussed so far. We discussed about cornea, we discussed about iris, we discussed about pupil, and we discussed about the aqueous humor. So the next one is lens that is attached to the ciliary muscles. Now we are having eye lens which is convex lens and we can adjust the focal length of our eye lens. We can contract, we can expand, decrease or increase with the help of ciliary muscles. So this lens is basically made up of transparent, fibrous, jelly-like substance which is basically made from proteins. The crystalline lens merely provides the finer adjustment of focal length required to focus objects at different distances on the retina. This lens exists behind the pupil and is responsible for allowing our eyes to focus on small details. The lens is in constant state of adjustment as it becomes thinner or thicker to accommodate. With the age, the lens loses a lot of its elasticity, which often results in the cataract and presbyopia. And because the lens cannot adjust as well to its surrounding as it is used to, so we need treatment for these kinds of defects, and we are going to discuss these defects later on in this chapter. As the presbyopia is oldish defect, we are using bifocal lens to improve this. Cataract is removed, by the operation or surgery in which the lens is being replaced by some other fibrous lens. After this lens, we are having the vitreous humor. Again, this is a fluid. So, let us have a look on the picture. We are having an eye and we are having the vitreous humor here at the center. Now, this vitreous humor is jelly-like, colorless substance which filled the space between the retina and the eye lens. Basically, it provides the support to our eye. So it helps in maintaining the shape of the eye. It is immobile, so it cannot regenerate and replenished. It is immobile, remains fixed, provide the structure and the support to the eye lens. It keeps our eye moist, which help it in functioning properly. That is, it provides the greasing to the eye lens, to the ciliary muscles and other parts. It helps to keep the retina in place by pressing it against the choroid. This vitreous humor is fluid-like near the center and gel-like near the edges. And the vitreous humor contains no blood vessels. And maximum of its volume, that is around 98 to 99% is water. So that it is clear and transparent like a glass and helps in entering the light or making the image to be formed at retina when it is being focused by our convex lens. Now just behind this vitreous humor we are having the retina. Now you are aware what retina is. You know that whatever we are seeing through our eyes, the image of that particular object is formed at retina. Now let us discuss the structure of this retina. As you can see from this figure, we are having the eye. The retina is at the backside of the human eye, and the structure is having, the retina is having the rods and cones. So you can see that we are having the rods and cones. Now what is this rods and cone? And these rods and cones are being embedded on the pigmented layer. Now these rods and cones are basically responsible for the intensity of light entering, or the intensity of light we are seeing, the beautiful colors we are seeing around us. So these are because of these rods and cones. So basically the retina is a delicate membrane having enormous number of light sensitive cells. So these rods and cones are the light sensitive cells. And these light sensitive cells or screen inside the eyes where the image is formed. So the screen contains the rods and cones, and these light sensitive cells get activated upon illuminating and generate the electrical signals that is being carried by the optic nerves and being transferred to the brain, so that brain can identify that particular object with the help of that color, with the help of that brightness, with the help of that shape of that object. So retina is the area at the back of the eye that receives the refined visual messages from the front of eye, and it transmits that visual message to the brain using the electrical signals. So now let us discuss about the rods and cones. Rods are basically sensitive for intensity of light. So they respond to the intensity of light. They enable to see us in dim light. And we cannot distinguish various color if we are having just rods. On the other hand, the cones, they respond to the color. They become active in bright light. and with the help of cones we are able to distinguish between the various color. So being human being, we are so lucky that we are having ample amount of rods and cones in our retina. So up to some extent we are able to see during the dark as well, and during bright light we are able to differentiate between the various colors. But on the other hand, the animals are being deficient in these cones, that's why they are colorblind. Animals can see during the dim light, but we are not able to see during the dark. Like the cat is able to see during the light, the dog is able to see, the bats, they are able to see, like no, bats are not, but the owls. So these are able to see during the night as well, but they are not able to differentiate between the colors because we are having cones. So in bright light we are able to differentiate between the cones, between the colors with the help of these cones. So now you are able to understand that animals are basically color blind. Now there is another point that is known as the blind spot, that is there just close to this retina. So what is a blind spot? Now you can see from this picture that this is the back portion or the behind picture of our eye, in which we are having an optic disc that is known as blind spot, and these are the plus blood vessels and the optic nerve. Now this is the point of contact of the optic nerve and the retina. So the point of contact between the optic nerve and retina is basically the blind spot. It is not having any sensory receptor, and with the absence of these sensory receptor, no image is being formed. So image formed by eye lens on blind spot will not be visible as the sensory receptors are absent over there. Now we can easily demonstrate the blind spot in our eye. For that, let us play a game. So see this picture. Now the instruction in order to identify the blind spot, close one of your eye and focus on the other, on the appropriate letter, R for right or L for left eye. So you need to close one eye and we need to focus on the letters R and L by closing the eye one by one. Now place your eye at a distance from the screen approximately equal to 3 into times the distance between this R and L, and nearly the distance is nearly about 5 centimeter over here. So 15 centimeter distance is more than sufficient. Now move your eye towards or away from the screen until you notice the other letter disappears. Okay, you need to just focus on one letter. Now for example, if you close your right eye and look at the L with your left eye, then in that case the right will disappear. So for this R get disappear, the image of this R is formed at the blind spot. Okay, and if you are closing your left eye and look at the R, in that case with the right eye, in that case this L will disappear. So the image of this L is formed at the blind spot. Okay, just try to play this game. In that manner you are able to figure out the blind spot in your eye. Now our next portion is, or next part of human eye is the optic nerve, and this is, students, very important part of our eye basically. Now you look at the figure. We are having eye Here is a retina where the image is formed of this bulb. Now you can see from this figure that the bulb was erect, but the image formed is inverted. But whenever we are looking at the objects, we are able to see the objects erect. Now, how this is happening? Basically, the electrical signal, that is the optical signal, is being converted at the retina, and that signal is being carried by the optic nerves. Now this brain is reading this image or inverting this image which is formed at retina, and we are able to see that the bulb is erect now. So basically optic nerves are basically the sensory organs. Okay, so these are the nerves which take the image to the brain in the form of electric signal, and this brain intercept these signals and finally process the information so that we perceive the object as they are. So brain and basically these optic nerves plays a vital role in image formation or the objects we are seeing through the eye. And these optic nerves are basically located in the back of the eye. Without these optic nerves, we are not able to see the things as they are. So the image form will be always inverted. Okay, as you know that the image is formed and the picture of that object is there in our mind or at retina. So we can say that human eye is behaving like a camera. There are so many similarities between the human eye and the camera we are using to take the pictures. As if we consider this figure, we are having camera on the left side, we are having the human eye on the right side, and if we are comparing, there is a film at the back side, the film is formed over there. So we are having the retina, diaphragm is there, diaphragm controls the intensity of light entering. Same function is being done by the iris in normal eye. Aperture is from where the light enters inside the camera, and pupil is that portion of our eye through which the light is entering to the eye lens. Both camera and the eye are having the convex lens through which the light is entering and the image is formed at retina or the backside at the film that is being inserted in that camera, and we are having the black paint to protect that. We are having the choroid, that is the outer layer of human eye. So there are so many things, so many similarities between the human eye and the camera, and this is very interesting fact that the natural camera is fitted by God in us so that we are able to see the beautiful things around us. But there are limitations with the camera. There is roll problem, there is so many other problems. But if we take care of our eye, the eye is the natural camera and can be used to see the things around us.